The vine-covered brick skull of a building you see in front of you is the focus of the last exploration in our mountain series. This long-forgotten community hospital was built in the 1800s and sits on a historic hill. By all accounts, it served its patients well for many decades. However, in time, with the need of a more modern facility, it shut down in the 1970s and was transitioned into service as a nursing home facility. This is where our story meets the tragic realities of our modern elderly care system. After many years of operation, in 2008, the home was ordered at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday to shut its doors forever. 68 patients were given 24 hours to leave and were forbidden to be moved to the other nearby home run by the owners. They were instead moved to other locations by the state. Inspectors had discovered violations, in their own words, which constitute an imminent danger to the health, safety, and welfare of the facility's residents. These findings included leaks that had caused severe structural degradation, 6 rooms with collapsing ceilings, bubbling walls, peeling paint, and rusted structural supports. Black mold was discovered that caused a foul smell throughout the building. There were many wet areas and general exposure to the outside elements with doors left unlocked. The residents were allowed to wander without bathing or changing their clothing. Finally, and most disturbingly, it was found that 40 of the beds were infested with bedbugs and their eggs, with patients covered in bites that they had complained about to staff with no reaction. None of this should have been a shock to locals. Sadly, the background of the hospital turned nursing home and its sister home contained recent cases of neglect that ultimately were to claim lives. In the winter of 2000, Karen Preston walked away from the nearby sister facility and into the woods, where she fell and walked in circles, finally curling up near a tree to freeze and die. She was just 54 and suffered from schizophrenia. She had no friends or family.
Nobody's home. Oof, yeah, bad.
The next year, at the same facility, Ella May, 78 years old and suffering from dementia, walked from the home once again in the deep of winter. She was found the next day frozen on a nearby lawn. She had suffered a heart attack and had attempted to crawl back to the nursing home. Nobody had noticed her missing. Such fatal neglect cases were solitary events, but the nursing home itself had a background of routine abuses of patients. In 2002, inspectors of the home found a staff member shouting at a naked resident. Inspectors noticed that the same patient was given new bed linens, but they were put on top of the urine-stained wet mattress. Its sister facility was to rack up a total of 119 citations in the 6 years following this inspection, and it was charged $20,000 by the state for the violations. Finally, it closed itself in 2009. A final strange story involving the home occurred some 40 years ago. On August 3, 1975, shortly before the hospital had closed, Flora Stevens was dropped off at 6 p.m. by her husband for an appointment. She was later found to be missing 2 hours later when he returned. She had been a seasonal worker at a nearby resort as a chambermaid, and it was a Sunday payday. After an initial investigation, the trail went cold. Decades later, while police tried to identify a body, they ran its details against hers and discovered a woman was using her social security number in Massachusetts under the name Flora Harris. Upon being interviewed by the police, it was discovered she was in fact Flora Stevens. Somehow, she had ended up in a nursing home in another state but could no longer recall the reason she was missing or the story of her life since then.
Nurse's home. Yeah, the snow's not as deep. I only see animal prints, not humans. It's been a couple days at least. Yeah, it looks safe. Definitely not dangerous at all. Is that water running? Nope. Hmm? The carpet is very misleading. Who knows what the floor is like underneath?
Inside the old hospital nurse's house, the hall is filled with snow and impressively peeling paint. Scattered on the floor are many pink papers. They turn out to be discarded carbon copy pink slips left here and containing patient records. The ceiling looks to be a decorative tin covering or carved wood, revealing hints of the building's 1800s build date.
Okay. Okay.
We head up the stairs.
Ugh.
In a side bathroom hangs a shredded red curtain that seems very out of place.
At least I can see these.
The upstairs attic level is covered in snow, making it impossible to see the state of the actual floor. We head back down and across the hospital to another group of buildings that seem attached.
Snow.
With the main hospital seemingly filled with black mold, bed bugs, and asbestos, we decide to head inside this out-of-place little chapel and examine the large old farmhouse next to it.
That huge thorn thing got me because I was not able to pay as close attention.
The larger building's windows are barred. Inside the chapel, most of the pews appear to be smashed and lie in corners, while upside-down crosses are painted on the walls.
Yeah, somebody's shooting. Oh, there's like a little gazebo thing out here. It's cool. Go sit. I'm not trying to go in this room, but it's most exciting thing on it. Yeah, definitely.
Ironically, the many ongoing issues with nursing homes like this have been made worse by the closing of the various psychiatric hospitals we explore with you on our channel. These huge facilities now lay empty, and their patients have moved on to new elder care facilities, which are simply unequipped to deal with patients with severe mental illness. Many of these homes now buckle under a lack of training and funding. Across the U.S., the number of nursing homes shrinks by the hundreds every year, and the regulatory and funding issues continue to close them at an alarming rate with no end in sight. Until a solution is found, they will continue to dot our landscape with haunting reminders of their dysfunction and failures and the lives lost and forgotten within them. Join us next time as we explore an abandoned religious theme park. Subscribe and explore with us today.